Hey guys, welcome back to the AJ Analysis channel, and I think it's probably about time we have another live stream tonight. Manchester United versus Wolves. We need to discuss basically what's going to go down in that game. I did do a tactical preview this morning via video on the channel, but I thought this afternoon we could get your guys' input a little bit more, your guys' thoughts, your guys' opinions. I haven't actually read through the comments from this morning's video yet, so anything that you put there, get it in this afternoon's chat and we can discuss it. Also, just before we go into anything else, I will be streaming again this evening, about 1 hour before kickoff. We'll react to the team news and the starting 11 and things like that. I won't actually be streaming during the game, but before the game, I will give you guys my thoughts. Before we get into that, get in a chat and let me know how you guys are doing. Edwick, good to see you, mate. I would like to apologise for ruining your Friday last week by not streaming. I hope you're good, mate. Corey, good to see you. I hope you're well. Matt, Chad, good to see you both. 4 members in chat straight away. We do love to see that. Hat's a little bit wonky today, isn't it? How are we doing, guys? How are we feeling going into this game? The first time we've spoken in about 8 or 9 days, I think it is. So what have we had since then? Pretty much just the Newport game in the Cup, I believe. And not really any transfer news apart from Isak leaving the club. Apart from that, I don't think too much has happened. So basically, we can get straight into discussing this game tonight. No problem, you've made my day today. Love to hear that. Like I said, I will be streaming again tonight as well, and also tomorrow afternoon, and then also Sunday before the West Ham game I'll be streaming as well. MUFC, good to see you, mate. Glimmer Twin, wow, first time catching you live from Australia. Love your work, mate. Thank you so much for the support. What time is it in Australia right now then? For me in the UK, it's about 1:30 in the afternoon. Good to see you though, mate. Hope you enjoy this first live stream. I'm sure everyone in chat will be nice and welcoming. Corey, how are you feeling going into this game tonight, mate? First up, score predictions, I guess. And also, score predictions, players you'd like to see, your concerns coming into the game. Let me know what you guys are thinking. Alex, good to see you, mate. Yeah, got to see you live. Love that, love that. Hope you're well, mate. I did actually reply to one of your comments on someone else's channel this morning. Who was it? I can't remember whose channel it was. Corey saying, let's go. I might not be here for the other 2 streams. No worries, mate. No worries. Predicting 2-1 United. Trying to stay positive. This is the best way to be positive. What did Edward... I've lost it. Edward said low scoring. I mentioned on Twitter that Pochettino isn't using Enzo Fernandez correctly. What do I mean? Just to touch on that, basically that tweet was about... Pochettino profiles Enzo Fernandez as though he's like a high 8 or a 10, whereas in my opinion, he's much more of a second phase player, much deeper. A deep 8 is his role, and he's not being used in that way. It's very similar, almost at times, to how Ten Hag does things with United. Chelsea often only have one player in the second phase. We have the same problem, so it's actually quite a similar link, so that's why I put that out there. 2-1 or 1-0 either way, so a nice low-scoring game. It does tend to be low-scoring between us and Wolves, doesn't it? Thinking the team will be the same that started the Newport game, but only with Onana in for Bayindir. I'm struggling to talk today. Having said that, let's get the lineup from the other day. This is not my 11 for this game. This is the 11 from the other night, so just bear that in mind. We'll come on to this shortly. I'm still feeling kind of distant at the moment, hoping we get something like a Kobbie blinder or Rasmus brace to brighten things up a bit. I do feel... Again, like everyone does have this real disconnect from the club at the moment, which is one of the reasons I haven't been streaming, because it's like, what do you talk about? People just aren't that interested in Manchester United at the moment. Hopefully tonight, we do have a chance, with players back from injury, we do have a chance to kind of give our season a bit of a kickstart going into the second half of the campaign, particularly the fact that we then play West Ham again so quickly at the weekend. There is a chance here, if you can put in 2 good performances, get some points and show some good tactical signs, you know, things can change quickly. Football is a very fickle game. One moment it looks like it's the end. The next moment it looks like it's a new beginning. And you guys know what I always say. It's never good. It's never as good as it looks in football. But it's also never anywhere near as bad as well. Football is much finer than what people think. So I agree that right now there is this kind of disconnect with the club. Hopefully it changes soon, because I want some views. 3-1. Might be a good game since they were all rested. Possibly, yeah, this is quite a fresh side coming into this game. We've also kind of had the nice build-up after a couple of weeks off of playing a friendly game then playing an FA Cup game. It has been quite a nice gradual build-up in intensity going into this one, so our players should be in pretty good condition. Ali, good to see you, mate. Hope you're well with the $20 donation. What an absolute legend. Good morning, AJ, and the best community ever. Sorry for missing the last show. No worries, mate. We'll be at work later, so can't attend the next stream later today, and we'll miss the game. Set pieces really concern me. No worries about missing the stream last week or tonight, mate. No worries at all. Everyone make sure to spam some love hearts in the chat to say thank you to Ali. Basically, because he's an absolute legend. Set pieces really concerns me. Yeah, I can understand why. We are not very good at defending set pieces. Wolves aren't quite as physical as what they have been in the past, but they're still probably overall a bigger side than us. The likes of Kilman, Dawson, Totti, Aït-Nouri, Cunha. These are all big players, so yeah, there's still problems in there. Alex, good to see you, mate. Hope you're well. Quietest deadline day for incomings as well, hence not many talking about us. Yeah, I mean, in terms of transfers, there's almost nothing to do with United at the moment. This time of year is a time of year I like to look at different players which could come into the club. But like you said, there's nothing going on. There is nothing going on to do with Manchester United at the moment. We're just kind of sitting here existing. I think it's why such a big thing was made of the whole Rashford ordeal, simply because people love to talk about United. There's been nothing to talk about, so the second the smallest thing happens, it gets blown up into this massive story. So let's see some good football, and hopefully we can talk about that for the next couple of weeks. Hopefully. I always thought Enzo Fernandez was a deep playmaker. Yeah, I think he is. I think he has creative abilities in the final third, but I certainly don't think he's a player which should play there for large parts. Hard-fought victory against the mighty Newport County. Tough game, Newport County, hey. Top side. Takes only the best to beat them. Sarcasm, for those of you that aren't familiar with my sarcastic ways. 2-0 if Onana is not in goal. Interesting. I think he will be. What do you guys reckon? Wolves are undefeated since mid-December. They're a very good side under O'Neill. Very good side. I was worried about them before the season started because they had some managerial problems and even recruitment problems as well. But tactically, they're really good. They're really, really good. They've got a great squad. They've got some great technical players in that side, which I think I underestimated a little bit. Great side. And I think they'll cause a lot of problems for us tonight. I do not think this will be an easy game. Having said that, we'll now probably win 4-0. Hopefully. But I think this will be tough. As long as Ten Hag doesn't play McTominay for his height at set pieces. Yeah, in terms of McTominay, it's going to be interesting to see his squad role in the second half of the season. Now we've got more players back fit and available, the likes of Casemiro, but also soon Mason Mount. It'll be interesting to see how much time McTominay gets. It's been reduced in the past month anyway. I wouldn't be surprised if he plays at the weekend against West Ham, simply because Casemiro just coming back from injury. I'm not sure he can play kind of every 3 days. But it will be interesting to kind of gauge what his minutes are like in the second half of the season, because I think it will change. I think it will decrease from what we saw, that couple months spell recently. Wolves are going to be pretty press resistant. Yeah, they're very good. They're very good. They're very technical from the back, but they've also got a lot of ball carriers in this side. So Gomez is someone who is quite comfortable on the ball, carrying the ball, but in particular, Cunha, for me, up there with maybe the top 4 or 5 ball carriers in the Premier League at the moment. So good. Not only is he quite a tall, strong guy, but the technical ability and the way he uses his body is phenomenal. And then obviously there's the constant threat of Pedro Neto. Sarabia, I'm assuming, will be back in the side. He kind of has had a couple of problems, but I believe he should be back for this game. Neto is, of course, the big threat you're looking at. Naturally, Wolves playing with wing-backs will be an issue as well, because it will allow Wolves to create, at times, a front 5 against our back 4. I don't want to start this stream on a pessimistic front, but I think Wolves are going to cause problems. Real problems. How do United stop Neto and Cunha? That is the big thing I want to address in this stream. Of course, we'll talk about what we can do on the ball and what our starting 11 should be, things like that. But I do want to focus on the defensive side of the game. Because this morning I've done a video focusing more on the in-possession stuff. But I think out of possession is crucial in this game. And if you guys kind of cast your minds back to the first game of the season, granted Wolves were in a different formation back then, more of a 4-4-2. But they absolutely destroyed us. I don't know if you remember, Casemiro in that game did not have a nice time. And, this time around, we haven't got the energy of someone like Mason Mount in the side. So we do need to really, properly cover the defensive side here. You're worried about Casemiro? Me too. Me too. 100%, I think both Onana and Rashford will start. I think so too. Even Ten Hag mentioned in the press conference, there is a chemistry building up between Højlund and Rashford. Yeah, I mean, also, Rashford's numbers have actually been a bit better recently. I know people don't like him at the moment, and understandably so, but I believe, is it 4 goal contributions in the last 4 games, or is it 5 in the last 5? It's one of the two. It's something like that. It's 4 in the last 4, I believe, because he missed Newport. So that's a pretty good record, and of course, Rasmus Højlund's been scoring more recently. Something has started to connect a little bit between those two. I also think the fact that Ten Hag said Rashford's kind of faced his punishment now. He missed a game against Newport. He's now back in training, back in, the realm of possibility for selection. I think he'll play. Result prediction. We'll definitely come back to that a little bit later on. Why so much hassle with Facundo Pellistri? Guy has played 31 hours of men's football and never scored. Yeah, I have no issue with Pellistri leaving. I think we could have managed the whole situation better, given him better loans or sold him sooner if we never wanted to play him. So I understand his personal frustration, but I don't think he's good enough to be a Manchester United player in the long term, so I don't have a massive issue with it. A bit like Rooney, Casemiro needs at least 3 games to get up to speed. Yeah, I think that's fair. I think we saw that, especially last season, didn't we? When he first came in, he really struggled. Give him a few weeks, and he was one of our best players last season. DJ Nature, good to see you, mate. Hope you're well. If McTominay's minutes are cut down, just another player who isn't going to be happy, and it's widely reported Ten Hag barely talks to players who aren't in his starting 11. Yeah, there's been a lot made, hasn't there, recently, of kind of the man management side of Ten Hag's game. People have been talking about it in Discord. If you want to join Discord, link at the top of the chat. I really recommend you do that, by the way. We have some good chats in there. Yeah, it's difficult from the outside looking in always to address man management and things like that, simply because we don't see a lot of it, so it's difficult to gauge. So, what did Alex say? Sorry, Mainu will improve things this time round compared to the game at Old Trafford back in August. Hopefully he'll be covering Casemiro and eating up the ground. Yeah, I think something we've seen with Kobbie is the defensive side of his game is really good, really strong. I was kind of, when he was coming through the academy into the first team, we were obviously all excited about what he's going to do on the ball. But defensively, he's decent. He's really decent. Say we were linked with Frenkie de Jong, for example, over the past couple of seasons. I think Kobbie is a more balanced player than Frenkie. I still think Frenkie's one of the best midfielders in the world, by the way. But defensively, Kobbie is a better player than someone like that. I also think he's already better defensively than what Paul Pogba ever was. He's much better defensively than what I thought we were going to get. Again, he gets compared to someone like Thiago at Liverpool. I think he's, again, a better defensive player than what Thiago is. It's exciting. Hopefully that can help Casemiro, as long as it's put into the right structure, of course. This will be Casemiro's 3rd game, if you count the Burnley game behind closed doors. Yeah, so I'd imagine, like I said earlier, I think he probably gets rested at the weekend against West Ham, just so he isn't playing too much too quickly. But then hopefully starting next week, we should be starting to see more. Seeing Casemiro link up with Mainu and Martinez in build-up should be good to see. Yeah, so if we're talking hypothetically, if I was to predict what I think the starting 11 will be tonight, again, this isn't my ideal 11 as such, it's what I think the 11 will be. If we were to put that on screen here real quick, I think it's fair to argue that is the best physical side that Manchester United currently have. Now, Wan-Bissaka would make an argument for wanting to start at right back, and Mason Mount would argue that he should be in there somewhere. But in terms of our squad, I think this will probably be tonight the strongest 11 we have seen all season. It will be the first time that Onana, Martinez and Kobbie Mainu have started a competitive game together. That's crazy. I really felt like this season we were going to see a core there built. The ball-playing ability of Onana, the press resistance of Lisandro Martinez, and then Kobbie Mainu in midfield. I think we were all quite excited this season about those three kind of really taking us to the next level in the way that we play the ball out from the back. The fact that we are now on the 1st of February, and this is the first time we're going to see them together, kind of sums up a lot of the problems we've had this season. And obviously I've been very critical of Erik Ten Hag. I think he's getting a lot of things wrong. But you can't help but feel a little bit sorry for him on a pure injury front. It's been absolutely ridiculous. This is the first time we're going to see some of these guys playing together. In terms of that probable, we talk about foundation and base. It's the first time we're going to see Onana, this back 4, this double pivot, or even this midfield 3 play together. That just seems absurd to me. Like, no wonder we've struggled to build partnerships and connections in the team when these players just haven't been playing together. So, hopefully, we've now got to start seeing the start of Ten Hag's plan, if you know what I mean. It's felt like the first half of the season, because of so many injuries, we were constantly kind of plugging gaps, putting a McTominay in there because he's going to grab you some goals, things like that. I feel like Now we need to start seeing what the actual plan was. And that's why when you guys were talking to me in late November, early December, I was saying, wait till February. That's when things need to start clicking. I'm going to give Erik ten Hag the benefit of the doubt until then. February, though, it's got to start working. It's the first of the month today. Things have got to start clicking. Not necessarily tonight, but over the course of this month. I think this month makes or breaks our season. If we go on a run, we can absolutely do something in the second half of the season, make a Champions League push, maybe get FA Cup final, something like that, win the cup. I feel like it's make or break time for this season, but also for Erik ten Hag and actually his career at the football club, which is crazy. Always wondered how Mount would perform at right wing. Yeah, it's something I would like to look into more. He done well there for Chelsea, but it was in more of a 3-4-3, so we often had a wing-back flying round. Where Mason Mount fits into this squad and into this starting 11 with the emergence of Kobbie Mainoo this season is something that I want to address in a video, because right now, I'm not too sure. For this particular game, I don't believe he is fit for selection. Good to see you though, Madu. Yeah, I don't think he's available just yet. I believe Ten Hag said he's back on the grass now, but still a couple of weeks away. Same for Tyrell Malacia as well. Let's go through some of this chat though after that little bit of waffle. I watched some earlier games this season, and I really do think Mount is a good player. Really hoping he can get a run in the squad. I think in the opening stages of the season, apart from maybe the first 2 games, I think after that, Mount was one of our best players. Particularly, you know, when he got that first injury and then he came back into the team. I think in that spell, before his next injury, and he got dropped as well, I think he was our best player at the time. You should create a waffle emoji. That's just rude, Edwick. Can't feel sympathy because his system requires too much intensity. It's no surprise players are getting injured. Yeah, there's obviously the other side of it as well, because also we can talk about is training the wrong intensity, things like that. Again, we don't really know. Watched your video earlier today. It was spot on. Thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed it. Take on the Hanson Aaron thing. If you want to see my thoughts, join the Discord. There's a link at the top of chat. Join that. I had a little chat about that this morning. Join the Discord and you'll see my thoughts. Basically, you know what? I'll leave it. Cover it in the Discord. Can't underestimate the importance of Shaw, especially in build-up and also for the left winger. In my opinion, I think Luke Shaw is one of the, if not the best left-back in the world. I stand on that hill. I think he is. You can question availability and things like that, but when he plays, I think he's right up there. And I would argue, I don't know about you guys, I would argue that Shaw and Rashford, combined with Eriksen as well, was really our bright point last season. I thought particularly going forward, Shaw and Rashford was what we almost depended on at times. We haven't seen those two. I believe, you might want to double check this, I don't believe those two have started a game on the left-hand side yet this season. I believe. Someone might be able to double check that. I don't know if FP is here or if anyone else has the facilities to check that. But I believe this, if they were to start on the left-hand side together tonight, I believe this would be the first time. Because the first couple of games, Rashford played up front. And then Shaw got injured. And then Rashford got dropped for a spell when Shaw came back from injury. I don't believe, unless we did a couple of weeks back. Maybe like in the Spurs game, for example. Perhaps they did then. No, even Wan-Bissaka played that game. This might be the first time. If someone can fact check that, that'd be great. If you can't, don't worry. Shaw and Martinez are good at playing out of tight spaces. Yeah, press resistant. They want the ball. They've got natural pauser. They understand how to manipulate angles, manipulate the opposition. They're great on the ball, aren't they? They're great ball players. I love watching them. Hopefully, again, that's a pairing which can develop now. Mount feels like that, felt like that complementary third player to go alongside the attacking midfielder and the holding midfielder. We had in Bruno and Casemiro. Definitely seems less set in stone since Casemiro had his dip and Kobbie has shined. Yeah, I would have guessed before the season started that it would have been a Casemiro, Mount, Fernandes midfield 3 with Kobbie playing certain games. But yeah, the fact that Kobbie is coming to the side puts a question mark over that. It's a good question to have though. Would we want Dalot and Kobbie Mainoo to be the holding midfielders in possession, or Casemiro and Dalot? For me personally, I would prefer Kobbie and Dalot if Dalot's inverting from right back. I just think Casemiro's skill set doesn't suit playing on the turn that much, unless perhaps he's going to drop a little bit deeper. I'm not sure, you know, the reduced touches which we saw from Kobbie the other day, I don't think suits him. I don't mind him starting a little bit higher as long as he then comes in and gets the ball. What we saw against Newport, though, was that half the time he's all the way up here. And, you know, Casemiro is good with play in front of him. I do like him in these areas, as long as he's not too rushed and pumping the ball forward constantly. But Kobbie has to be given that license to come into these spaces still. The other day it was Fernandes given that license. That shouldn't be the case. Even what we could see, say for example tonight, we could see Dalot invert like this, which is perfectly fine. But the other day what we then saw was that Dalot would sort of rotate wide. Let's say Varane got the ball. Dalot would then rotate out wide and Bruno would drop in. That's wrong. That's where we should then see Kobbie in this area, because he's our best in the squad at this role. I think that's the change which needs to happen. Do you think Wolves sit back or press us? Truthfully, I think they'll do a little bit of both. I think they're quite a smart side in terms of understanding the trigger of when to go squeeze high, win the ball back, but they are also good in their low block as well. So you'll probably see a bit of both in this game. Watch my video from this morning for that sort of thing. Basically, they're very brave in the way that they press up the pitch, but like I said, they're also content to sit in the back five. So I would expect both. What's your score prediction? We'll come on to that towards the end, I reckon. Opponents seem to press less after Onana came. Yeah, we saw that in particular in example for the Arsenal game earlier on in the season. Could we see it in this game as well? Possibly, because he does give you a solution. I think Shaw needs to step up in terms of goals and assists for him to be seen as world class. It depends what role you ask of him, really, because he can be world class, for example, in this sort of role in a back three. But of course, inevitably in this sort of role, he's not going to get as many goal contributions. So it probably depends on the role, really. Alright, there are adverts coming up, but I'm going to cancel them for you guys. There you go, I'll skip the ads. Anyway, let me catch up in chat. Do you think Bruno plays better from deep? Maybe a Mainu, Bruno and Mount triangle next season? No, I personally prefer Bruno Fernandes nice and high in these areas. This is where I like him. I think he's so good in this position with runners around him. You know, a Højlund, a Rashford. I think he's great in these areas. I don't really like him deeper. I think he can do a job there and, you know, occasionally kind of fill in for the side. But I don't personally think it should be a long-term plan, really. Who do you think will dominate the midfield? Honest opinion? Maybe Wolves. Sorry. Do you like Garnacho, sorry, on the right more than the left? I think at the moment it simplifies the game for him, which makes him like currently a better player, but I do still think long term he'll be a left winger. So at the moment, kind of as a short term fix, I do quite like him on the right hand side. Do you see Amrabat being signed permanently? I still think he could be really good, by the way, Amrabat. I think he could still tick a lot of the boxes which we need ticked. But just with how the loan has gone, and I don't think this is his fault even, I think it's Ten Hag's fault, to be honest, and again, the injuries. Just because of how it's gone, I don't think he will, unless he has a really good second half of the season. Those are my thoughts. Maybe change the formation to a 4-2 or a 4-3-2-1, sorry, and have overlapping fullbacks. Would of course change the dynamic of our midfield, so we'd have to have a look at that. Would we be able to play a Mainu, Mount and Bruno midfield with Dalot inverting? Thoughts? Really good question. Really good question. And I think, you know, there's a lot of people which want that midfield. Let me just quickly get Mount on the screen. There's a lot of people which want that midfield. And my argument always is that it's not really secure enough defensively. I think Mount and Bruno want to play higher in the half spaces. The way it can work, like you've said there, is with a fullback inverting. I think, I don't know that this would ever be a tactical approach which completely dominates games for United, because I still think, just in terms of like pure height almost and muscular ability, it's lacking a little bit. But I do still think, you know, in certain games this could work. In games where you have a lot of the ball and try and break teams down, yeah, I think it could work. I think it's a good idea. Anyway, the main thing that I want to address today is how high do you guys want to press, basically, in this game? So, in terms of the United on the ball stuff, like I said, we will come back onto it towards the end of stream, but I did cover it in a video this morning, so it's not the main focus this afternoon. Do you guys think, you know, what we'll do actually is we'll do a poll real quick, and then we'll also do a poll once we've discussed it. So, how high should United engage? That's what we'll call it. And I'll call it a high press or a mid block is what we'll go for, right? Obviously, you can get a blend between the two a little bit, but we'll word it like this. Sorry if this is just lagging out. Do apologise. So we'll put that poll up, then we will discuss it a little bit more, then we'll come back to it. Isn't Dalot inverting in recent games? Yeah, a little bit. Not consistently enough. I think he still needs to do it more. But yeah, we have seen glimpses of it. We saw it, I think, first against Liverpool. You know, that horrendous game of football. I think that's the first time we saw it. We did see it in glimpses against Newport, and I think he does well when he does it. I think he just needs to do it more. We need him to do it on a more regular basis. According to stats, Man United had the most possession won in the attacking third, so the high press works. That's the thing with our high press. When it works, it really works, and we win the ball high in dangerous areas. The problem is, there's so often when it doesn't work, and teams do find a way to work the ball past us. That's the issue. My issue isn't necessarily that we don't win the ball back high. It's on the occasions when we don't, we're not then ready behind that, if you know what I mean. Because when United try and press high at the moment, if we use the structure which has generally been the case over the season, it always feels like one of two things is going to happen. Either we're going to win the ball back and shoot, or they're going to basically walk up the entire pitch and shoot, which isn't okay. You know, there has to be more of a middle ground in there, which I think is what United lack. Genuine goal threat when Dalot inverts? Yeah, also apparently recently working on his long-range shooting as well, hasn't he? I think the other thing with our press is we press with a different reason or a different goal to what other teams do. So let me just clarify what I mean by that. I think when a lot of teams press high up the pitch, say Arsenal, for example, yes, of course they want to win the ball back, but ultimately, rather than, you know, can we nick the ball back in the opposition's box, their mindset is more, can we stop the opposition progressing? So it doesn't mean they haven't got to win every tackle, as long as, you know, they're man marking in midfield, they're cutting off different options, there's no free pass, players are under pressure. So, you know, they're stopping the opposition from moving the ball forward is their intention, stopping the opposition's progression. Whereas United's intention is more nick the ball and score from it. Now, it sounds like they're the same thing, but just take a second to let that kind of sit in a little bit. Other teams tend to press with the idea of stopping the ball being played, you know, into their own defensive areas. United press with the idea of let's win the ball back high and score a goal. So one's a little bit more conservative than the other. And United kind of do this press where they try and go super high, try and nick the ball for the goal. For example, the winger will move in here. But what it means is that we aren't pressing to stop progressive passes as such. So the opposition can move the ball through us, which is why we then end up open. I hope I've explained that. Okay. I hope that's coming across nicely. Let me know in the chat if that kind of makes sense. Perhaps it's something which needs like a whole different stream to itself. But I do think there's a difference personally. If we were to press high with this starting 11, would Onana start sweeping? See, I personally would hope so. But I don't know if he would, simply because, again, we haven't got centre-backs here which want to squeeze crazy high up the pitch because we haven't got a ton of recovery pace. So I don't know if the back line would actually be high enough for Onana to sweep. I'm not sure. Makes a lot of sense? Okay, nice. I didn't want you guys to think I was just waffling. Okay, good. Lovely stuff. Do you think United want something similar to how Liverpool play? Both quite direct, both want to press high and counter-press. It's just United don't do it as well? Or am I talking BS? No, I think you're onto something there. I think Ten Hag's idea isn't pure Klopp football. It's something in between. But I think he does like elements of how Klopp does things in terms of getting the ball forward extremely quickly and looking to win the ball back high up the pitch. The problem is our structure is nowhere near as good as Liverpool's. And also physically, we don't have players which are as intense. You know, our forwards, outside of Højlund perhaps, don't work as hard as what the Liverpool forwards do. Our midfielders perhaps don't cover the ground as well as what the Liverpool midfielders do. And then our centre-backs can't eat up the ground like the Liverpool centre-backs do. So yeah, it does feel like we're a little bit like the Poundland version of Liverpool at times. Again, not exactly the same, the tactical approaches are different, but I mean the kind of philosophy of how the manager wants to play football I think is similar. The execution and how the guys go about doing it is quite different. How does Onana's heat map compare this season to last season? Is he sweeping less? Will Licher returning improve Onana's sweeping? Would be interesting to look at that, although I believe last season his sweeping numbers were down from the season before anyway. I think it was the season before that where he swept a bit more. Should we lose today? What would that mean for us? Not a lot, really. It would mean that we are exactly where we think we are, not very good at football. I've said it a few times, Corey. No matter what you think of Ten Hag, I don't think he leaves before the end of the season. I just don't think it happens. If I'm Ineos right now, the main objective isn't a new manager. It's getting the boardroom right. It's getting the right sporting director in, things like that. Then those guys can decide who the manager should be. So a loss today makes the fans more annoyed, puts Erik Ten Hag one step closer to not keeping his job in the summer. But I don't think he loses his job this season. I just don't see it happening. We need a banner that says Pass to Højlund. Honestly, we should actually do that, by the way. What was it earlier in the season? The United fans held up a banner before the game, and the players were like, we saw that, and we took that message on board. I can't remember what it was. Good idea. Let's just get a banner, just Pass to Højlund. We should all just hold arrows as well, pointing to Højlund, so players realise that that's a striker who you pass to. It's not a bad idea, I like it. It was the Fulham game, you're right. Thoughts on a new manager for the summer then? I'll leave it for now. I will leave it for now. We'll come back to that towards the end of the season if it looks like Ten Hag will lose his job. Play like you mean it, that was the one. This time we should just go for Pass to Højlund. It could work. Especially Mourinho and De Zerbi. Mourinho is a massive no for me, personally, and De Zerbi also. I think De Zerbi has the potential to be an elite manager, but I don't think he is at the moment. I think he's quite flawed tactically. I've spoken about that before. But again, in terms of, new manager talk, I would rather save that towards, the end of the season. So we'll leave it for now. We will leave other manager talk for now. But should Erik Ten Hag leave, best believe I'll be covering it. A lot. Shouldn't Christian Eriksen start? He didn't play versus Newport. Yeah, we can come on to that and have a talk about it if you want. Chad, what are you waffling, mate? I do agree, though. I do agree. It's not good for your lungs. Don't do it. Can you make a video about Xabi Alonso's tactics? I haven't done a video on his tactics at United. I have done a video on his tactics at Leverkusen about 6 weeks ago. Go check it out. Good video, if you ask me. Nuruddin, good to see you, mate. Hope you're well. I feel like I haven't seen you in chat for a while, or am I making stuff up there? Good to see you there, mate. Hope you're well. Okay, so before we perhaps go into tactical stuff here, should we have a quick discussion on the starting 11? Is this the 11 you guys would go for? Just basically a yes or no on that real quick. Also, the whole discussion on the high press has ended as a 50-50. For me, I'm 100% willing to give a manager time if I see progression. Agreed. Can I have a cup of tea? Yeah, sure, mate. Go for it. Okay, so this is what I think the 11 will be. But let me just throw kind of a couple of ideas of what might change. We could see Johnny Evans at centre-back. As crazy as it seems, there was a spell where he was playing every game. So we could see Johnny Evans at centre-back. We also could see Harry Maguire returning from injury. Pretty good on the ball if you're trying to break down a low block. We could see Maguire, and at one point, he was keeping Varane out of the side. So I think at the moment, by default, I was kind of thinking that Varane would start. But there is a chance that Maguire does. Because again, he was keeping Varane out of the side at one point. At right centre-back. Something to think about. Perhaps we need a poll on that. The other options, could Wan-Bissaka play at right back in this game? Could Eriksen take perhaps Kobbie's role, I would imagine? Or could McTominay take one of those roles in midfield? And could Antony play right wing? I think those are the debates. And then, Garnacho or Rashford on the left wing. Are there any of these which you feel are, definite should be playing? What do you guys think of that? Was Maguire on the bench last weekend? Yeah, I believe he came on for a few minutes towards the end, I believe, Alex. I think he had 3 or 4 minutes. You too, mate, and you're right. All busy with college and travelling between home and Turkey. It's been a busy time. No worries, mate. I hope you're well. Hope it's not stressing you out too much. I hope you're good. Good to see you back in the stream, though. Hope you're well. In case you missed it, I will be streaming tonight before kickoff for about an hour. You can argue for Maguire to start, but you can flip that and say, what about when Wolves have the ball? Varane could be more useful. Yeah, also, Maguire has question marks looming over him in terms of against a high-pressing side, which Wolves are. So I think you guys will agree Shaw will play. Lisandro Martinez will play. Let's do a quick poll on the right centre-back position, just for tonight, not in general. I'm not asking who's the better player. I'm asking who do you think is, right for this game. So let's whack a quick poll up. Team is abusive. It's a love-hate relationship is what I'd call it. I believe Lindelof's still unavailable. Which of those guys would you play at right centre-back? Alex saying you've got to look at the centre-backs as a pair. So either Licha and Varane or Maguire and Evans. I think that's a fair point. I think when you play Maguire and Martinez, for example, you've got two players who are a bit more front-footed. Whereas when you play Martinez and Varane, you've got one who's more front-footed, one who's more of a cover defender. What do you prefer? The poll might tell me. Currently 75% for Varane. Just got the notification on the United app that Mainu got Player of the Month. What a legend. He deserves it, to be fair, I think. I reckon we should try and get that poll to 50 votes, by the way, guys. Also, I've just seen we're on 29 likes for the stream, yet there's over 120 people in here. You guys can leave a like, right? You can leave a like on the stream. 40 likes, like that, I reckon. Get it to 40 likes, I reckon you can do it. Højlund's goal against Spurs is goal of the month as well. What a legend. For United, that is. With the mid-block, Licha, Varane and Antony should be starting. I agree with Alex there, by the way, saying drop a like, people. I think it's a great idea. Look at that, we're on 41 likes already. I reckon we can go 50. Keep voting in the poll as well, guys. So leave a like on the stream and also drop a vote just to let me know what you guys are thinking. Although at the moment, Varane is dominating that poll. People not backing Johnny Evans. Poor guy. I think Varane plays tonight, but Maguire on Sunday. That's also a good point. The fact that both of them have had a couple of injury problems this season. Rotation is important. If McTominay is in the starting 11, Ten Hag should be fired before a ball is kicked. Bad news for you, mate. I think he might start at the weekend. 44 likes currently, guys. I reckon we can get it to 50. Okay, so the poll is so one-sided, we don't need to run it for that long. So you guys are gone for Varane. I think that's fair enough. Midfield, you guys are going to say Kobbie. I know that for sure. And I assume you'll say Casemiro. The winger situation, I'm guessing people would say Rashford and Garnacho. This one might need a poll, actually. Yeah, we will do a poll on this, just to get you guys involved as well. Winger combo. So let's go. What are the options? Rashford, Antony. Yeah, people saying Ahmad. I don't think it will happen. So I'm going to put the options in, which I think will happen. Do I think it should happen? Possibly. I just don't think Ten Hag will. So I want to keep the 11 close to what I think Ten Hag could realistically do. And I don't think Ahmad will play this game. Which I think is poor management, by the way. The fact that he didn't play against Newport is awful. But it's just how I see it at the moment. Is that right? I believe so. Alex, thank you very much. Channel member for 2 months. Everyone make sure to spam the love hearts for Alex. Saying keep up the fantastic work. Loving your scouting at the moment. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. I've got lots of scouting, like proper scouting videos for players coming up. And also some scouting videos for like tactical previews as well. So more content on the way. Maybe Ahmad comes on if we're winning comfortably. Yeah, quite possibly. What does Ten Hag see in Forsen that he doesn't see in Ahmad? I'm not sure. We have nearly all of our players back, but we look just as poor. At first I thought it's a hangover from last season and then injuries, but now it seems like he might have lost the dressing room. So I think you're right with the first couple of points about perhaps a hangover from last season and then the injuries. In terms of the whole, but it's not working now, we've now got everyone back, that whole idea. The kind of counter argument I would make is they've only been back for 1 game. Excluding the friendly game, which was played behind closed doors. In terms of competitive football, Lisandro Martinez has only had 1 game back. So has Casemiro. So give it a couple of weeks. Give it a couple of weeks before saying we've got everyone back and it's not working. These players need to get back into the side and then gel. But yeah, if in 3 weeks it's still the case, then you might be spot on. So I think for now, just leave it a little bit. Will we piston press? I think it's time we come on to that, because Rashford and Garnacho again are dominating that vote. If you guys don't mind dropping a vote as well. Also, a like on the stream would be greatly, greatly appreciated. Actually, I'm going to take a second while you guys like the stream. Leave a like. What does it say about Ten Hag when he needs to play his strongest squad to play Newport? I don't think he needed to. Not to beat them. I think he needed to get, minutes in the legs of important players. I don't think he felt, I can only beat Newport with my best team. I think he felt my best team haven't played, apart from a friendly, in about 2 weeks. You've got to consider with United, right? United are used to playing last season pretty much every 3 days, right? And also the first half of this season, pretty much every 3 days with a depleted squad. So these players were used to playing quite a lot. Therefore, when you have a 2-week break like we've recently had, first of all, it's a good thing because players get rest, they get a bit of time. You can work on training ground and things like that. But what's important is that in terms of as a footballer, for me personally, the rest is important. But if I'm used to playing every 3 days and I'm in that rhythm, to then go 2 weeks without playing is quite alien. So I think that's why he went so strong against Newport. I would imagine he expected it to be more comfortable and, to make changes earlier. But I don't think it was a case of we had to play our best 11 to beat them. I think it was we had to play our best 11 to get minutes in the legs. So we're ready for this game, basically, and, ready for West Ham and whatever follows that. I think that's more the case, personally. Yeah, I think Forson done well when he came on, to be fair. I don't know too much about him as a young player, but I thought he had a good little cameo. I think his run for the goal was particularly good. Could he have scored it? Possibly, but I don't think he done too badly at all. Imagine if we started playing the Jagiellonian in the Premier League. Make it happen. I can see Cunha causing Casemiro some issues, if he's not backed up. He's pretty comfortable in a take-on and has a turn on him. Like I said, I think Cunha is one of the best ball carriers in the Premier League. There's a clip from last week, I think it was, where he kind of receives the ball right on the touchline, and it comes at him about hip height, and he's got a player literally right up his back like this. And the way he takes the ball in and turns the guy is just an absolute joke. His first touch is so good. I think he's really come on leaps and bounds this season. I think he's always had potential, but I think at the moment he's really going to another level. And yeah, I think it's a problem. You're right, and I also think Ten Hag likes a team to develop chemistry. Yeah, I think he tends to use quite a small squad as well. He's always talking about learning routines as well, so it made sense that he played that team. Absolutely. Again, if you consider that this team hasn't played together yet, it made sense to get some of the minutes last week, so I don't have an issue with that. I would have liked to have seen Ahmad sooner, though. Do you think we can overtake Villa or Spurs? Between now and the end of the season? Yeah, I think we're capable. Yeah. Do I think we will? I'm not sure. Do I think we can? Absolutely. You've got to remember, by the way, we've got a Marcus Rashford who, granted, is in not the best form at the moment, but he got 30-odd goals last season. Bruno Fernandes can create something from nothing. We've got players here who, despite the tactics, can score a lot of goals and be very good at football, basically. And in a league at the moment where I don't feel that anyone, apart from those top three, are really taking the league by storm, we can still finish in the top four this season. It's going to be very, very difficult, and we have to change. But it isn't. I don't think the season is as much as a write-off as what people are making out. I think we're still in it this season. For now, it has to change quickly. But we need to start winning games. Højlund is starting to shine despite feeding off scraps. Did anyone watch the Chelsea-Liverpool game last night? I know some of you guys did because I was talking to you on Discord. Can you imagine that we created the volume of chances for Højlund that Darwin Núñez gets? I believe last night Darwin Núñez had, I think it's 8 less shots than what Højlund's had in the Premier League this season. It's insane. Do you think Højlund is more talented than Haaland? No, I think Haaland's probably the best striker in the world, but I think Højlund's a great young player. In my opinion, if we are playing Garnacho, he should be on the right wing, not on the left. He's too selfish whenever he plays on the left. Possibly. 11 shots on goal in one game, that was crazy. It's absolutely bonkers. A lot of it comes because of good movement from Darwin Núñez, but it also comes from the Liverpool team being willing to play those passes. And United don't do it. Núñez is why you're behind on fantasy drafts. Yeah, he's one of those players. Anyway, gone on a bit of a tangent there. How should United approach this game defensively? Now, we've done a vote in the poll earlier. Done a vote in the poll in the vote. What'll be around 60 votes on that, by the way. Thank you guys so much. And it ended up literally 50-50 as to whether or not United should, or whether United should press high or sit in the mid block. So we need to discuss that. AJ, we need an FPL league. We do have one. We do have one. Join the Discord at the top of chat. If you go on there, there is a link to the FPL league. And there's also a prize, by the way. The winner of the FPL league, I might still have the thing for it on here. The winner of the FPL league gets a free football shirt. A free mystery box shirt. So, yeah, check that out. Join the Discord. There is an FPL league on there. Anyway, so let me just cover something which I want to talk about defensively, then we can discuss it more. Realistically, with the way that Wolves set up in terms of the fact that they use a back three, there is potential here for United to go nick the ball high at the pitch. Because they play with a back three, it kind of suits our system a little bit more. The issue with this is I don't know that we want to leave the rest of the pitch man versus man. So let's say, for example, we went, Dalot on 8 Nori. We went Shaw on Semedo. Let's say, for example, Lisandro Martinez on Sarabia, Varane on Neto, Kobe Mainoo on Gomez, Fernandes here, Casemiro, Cunha. We could do that, for example, and actually structurally as a shape, it doesn't look too bad. It's not ideal, but it's not horrendous. We could work with this. Let's say Cunha played a little bit higher, Casemiro in here, that's fine. Structurally, it looks all right on paper. The issue I have with this, and this is what you have to consider when making a press, is, are United going to win these individual battles? Because ultimately, that's the most important thing. When you're 1 versus 1, apologies for that, when you're 1 versus 1, you've got to win your battle. Because if you don't, your team's a man down. And what keeps come to my mind is Cunha against Casemiro. I think that's a real problem. And I also think Bruno, as Edwig has pointed out there, Bruno versus Lamina, no chance. So I'm not sure. Hang on, just want to read this comment real quick. AJ, sorry if this is out of line, but your jaw looks tense. Have you shown it to physios? I'll be honest, I haven't. I'm sure it'll be alright though. I appreciate the concern, thank you very much. Chad, I'm not sure, mate. Individual duels will be lost in key areas, which is why this can't work. Players will have to win their duels tonight. Other than Højlund, I don't feel comfortable with other players getting into dogfights. So basically, we can't man-for-man press. That doesn't mean we can't high press, but I don't think we can man-for-man press. I think if we want to press in this game, the focus has to be more on forcing the ball one way and then keeping spare men in certain places. So let's say, and this also comes from more of a counter-press situation as well, by the way. In terms of Wolves' goal kicks, they're fairly happy to go quite direct. So this is more about the counter-press. I think if United try and pounce super quick, I think United will get played around quite quickly. I think the focus has to be more on kind of forcing Wolves down one way into a certain position, because when we do that, we can leave someone like Dalot at least tucked in at the back, so we do at least have a spare man somewhere. Or would you guys kind of completely abandon this, and would you sit more, because we can't win our individual battles, sit off in more of a back four shape and be quite compact in the mid block? Again, let me know what you guys are thinking. I feel like I've been outclassed. Yeah, Chad, you've been done here, mate. The jaw tension keeps the cap in place. It is actually true. Casemiro can be great in a dogfight against Cunha if he can catch him. Yeah, that's a big if, right? your personal experience on that. I appreciate the concern, my friend. At the moment, I think my jaw's alright. AJ's jaw is tense from always gritting his teeth at our performances and results. I'm really conscious about my jaw now, guys. Is my jaw like in the right place? Who knows? Yeah, I think some of it is from just being angry and tense from watching this apparent football team try and play football. Anyway, back to the tactics. Let's stop the jaw talk. Let's have that conversation another day. Because the interesting thing for United is in terms of if you do then go to a mid-block, is therefore what shape do you use? AJ, you have a very handsome jaw, don't worry. Thank you very much, Chad. From your profile picture, you do as well, mate. I voted for mid-block because I don't think Wolves can play through us if we're compact, hoping Ten Hag has learnt from that game earlier in the season. Yeah, I think that's the important thing. I think it's about learning that lesson from earlier in the season and therefore adapting. The question is now we've decided, okay, we probably need to sit off in more of a mid-block. The question is what shape do you use? Because Wolves kind of naturally do start off with a 3-2 shape. Because of the fact that they use the 3-4-3 formation, they kind of, by default, have this shape which is kind of the trend in modern football. The back three, the sort of box in midfield, and then wing-backs which get forward. So, it'll be interesting to see how United approach these situations. Pardon me, I do apologise. Surely we can't sit off Wolves, lol? It's a difficult one. I think, ultimately, we should be looking to dominate possession. And a part of that is when you lose the ball, you do have to go win it back. But I think we are going to have to accept also that there will be spells in the game where Wolves will have the ball. I think that will naturally happen. In terms of their average possession stats, they're about 47%, I believe, and we're about 52, 53. So I would expect United to edge possession in this game, but I do think Wolves will have spells of having the ball as well. I don't think this will purely be a game of Wolves parking the bus, unless they were to get a couple of goals early on. I don't think that will be the case. The issue I have, I understand the idea of we want to press high. I'm just terrified, perhaps scarred even, emotionally scarred, of leaving Casemiro isolated with a lot of ground to cover, 1 versus 1, where our defence drops off 20 yards like it always does. Our forwards go high. Casemiro's got 60 million yards to cover by himself. I'm scared of that. To dominate possession, we'll need a shape where we outnumber them in midfield. Yeah, I think I would like to see a box shape in midfield. We can come on to that shortly if you want. We can do a 4-4-2. And with Varane and Casemiro back, they could cover the box in case of crosses and have our winger track back. Hopefully they won't run through the middle like the first game. So that's the thing. If you are that little bit more compact, you do reduce those spaces to be ran through, if you know what I mean. When you press high, you leave space for Lamina to carry the ball, for Cunha to do it. When you are naturally sitting off a little bit more and your players are therefore naturally closer together, you do therefore reduce the gaps in these areas. Bellegarde for Wolves is very underrated. His ball carrying is crazy. Yeah, he's a really good ball carrier, really strong player as well, really powerful. I think Sarabia will start ahead of him, but Bellegarde playing is another good ball carrier who would cause problems. In some senses, sitting off is putting the onus on the opponent to exert dominance. Fine line to tread, but works if you believe you ultimately have the edge. I think we're going to see, at times, quite an end-to-end game. I think it's going to be quite open at times. I think there'll be spells where both teams are kind of sitting off in their shapes. But largely, I think it's going to be quite end-to-end. Wolves, for example, like I've said, will go long from goal kicks. Of course, the effect of that is anything can happen. On that second ball in midfield, anything can happen. If United win that second ball, with Wolves' defence high, we can hurt them. If Wolves win that second ball, they can hurt us. So I think that it will be quite end-to-end. In terms of the whole idea of, a certain dominance, I don't know if we have the tactical setup to do it. If we are to do it, I believe, I think we need to be good on the ball. I think that's the most important thing. I think we have to be slower on the ball. If we feel, right, I think we're kind of sitting here agreeing that defensively, it's quite difficult to press super high up the pitch. Because I think we get caught out if we go man for man. I think we get caught out. I think we get done. Therefore, we need to have the ball. So that might be the biggest thing for Ten Hag. We need to find a way of getting the ball. Now, with Onana, with Lisandro Martinez, with Kobbie Mainoo, with Luke Shaw, there is potential to do that. The problem is, this bloke always seems to want our players to go forward at 100 miles an hour and lose possession, because we want to be the best transitioning team in the world, right? He said at the start of the season. What he doesn't seem to have realised is that you can be the best transitioning team in the world, but it doesn't mean you have to transition literally every time you get the ball. And I think that's a balance that has to change. We better not play out from the back. We are not good at it. The problem with that, right, in terms of if we're saying we can't press particularly high, but we also can't play out from the back, then there's close to zero chance of control in this game. Unless defensively we're very compact, and I don't think we are. That's a problem. Højlund versus Totti and Dawson will be war. Højlund's going to have a tough game here. I want to see an improvement in his physical side tonight, and I want to see evidence that on the training ground he's been working on his ability to hold the ball up. Be interesting to see. Liverpool are a great transitional team, but they are more controlled in their approach. Exactly. I'm just worrying the game will end up like that Newcastle away match where we couldn't even get out of our own half. Quite possible. The thing also, and I think this is something which people often overlook, is goal kicks are unbelievably important in football. And it seems odd to say, I think they get overlooked a lot because we have in our minds, a team plays out from the back, yada, yada, yada. But I think it's so much more important. I think having a goal kick really sets the tone for a game. And this is probably something I haven't really spoke about before. But let's say, United have kickoff, right? And early on, we put an attack together. Rashford runs in behind, shoots, misses, goes behind for a goal kick. Gutted. We didn't score. But what it does do is it gives you the potential and the platform to go and press super high. Now, when you face a side which isn't great from the back, that means that if they persist with playing short, but they're not very good at it, think us against Liverpool, basically. You keep the team in their half the whole day. It's what Newcastle done against us, right? So Newcastle attacked early on. They win a couple of goal kicks, and from these goal kicks, we tried to play out from the back. Newcastle would press us super high. We therefore couldn't play the ball out from the back. So if we try, we give them the ball. If we go long, they're better in the air than us, so we give them the ball. So I actually think goal kicks are a really good platform for teams to press from, and I think it's probably not spoken about enough. So if United, for example, just have a positive first 5 minutes, that can be a huge platform to then just build from for the rest of the half. And again, I think it's something we don't do very well. We don't start games very quickly. And quite early on in matches, we tend to give up a couple of chances, which means the opposition, just give away a couple of goal kicks to us. From those goal kicks, we don't do great at playing the ball out from the back. Therefore, teams, sense that danger. They know that they can win the ball back nice and high. And therefore, even from the first 5 minutes, we put ourselves on the back foot. I'm going to go to the Newport game last weekend. If you go back and watch the first 10 minutes, we were horrendous. We couldn't get out of our own half. And it's because we create this own problem for ourselves where teams attack us. We try to play out from the back. We can't play out from the back, so they get the ball, so they attack us. So then we get a goal kick. We try and play the ball out from the back. We can't play the ball out from the back, so they win the ball. They attack us. We end up with the ball. We try and play out from and we end up in that constant motion. Again, that Newcastle game in particular, we saw it time and time and time again. But even the first 10 minutes against Newport last week, it has to change. And that is why I am hoping that the likes of Kobbie Mainoo, Lisandro Martinez, Onana playing together could solve more of our problems than what people think. I'm not too sure. Mainoo will be torn to shreds. I'm scared for our boy. I think he'll be alright. Let me catch up in chat real quick. Martinez's accurate line-breaking long passes will be a game changer. We awfully missed him. Yeah, again, if you go back to the Newport game, the passes that he was playing over the top of the defence, whilst I don't think it should be our main way of going forward, he probably played more in that game than what the rest of our centre-backs have all season. And again, if Wolves do want to press high, having Lisandro Martinez, but also Onana who can go long, it does give us something. It does give us a different threat. Just trying to catch up in chat still. Yeah, Mainoo will be torn to shreds. I think he'll have a difficult game in midfield because I think, firstly, Wolves will press well. Secondly, Wolves will carry the ball well, which is going to be difficult for Kobbie to deal with. Also, Casemiro next to him isn't going to cover a ton of ground. But let's be honest. In recent months, we've seen Kobbie Mainoo play basically as the only midfielder at times. And he's coped fairly well. I think he'll be okay. The team should learn build-up possession through the middle of the park rather than playing through the flanks all the time. Yeah, did you guys watch my video from yesterday, was it? I think it was yesterday. I did kind of cover that. The fact that United's... It's okay to attack up wide, but we are just so dependent on it. We're so dependent on... Yeah, go on, mate. Beat that guy, will you? If Skip can dominate our midfield, anybody can. Wise words. Wise words. In build-up, do you see Mainoo dropping deeper than Casemiro? Good question. Good question. I went back and watched our pre-season game against Real Madrid because it was the first time the two of them started together. And I was trying to see, even if there was just one example of a goal kick or something where Kobbie was deeper. Sadly, Casemiro slide tackled him about a minute and a half in, so we didn't get to see it. What we saw against Newport was Casemiro being deeper. Which... It can work, but it's got to be done in the right way. I think if Casemiro is deeper but still receiving with his back to goal, it doesn't really make sense. If Casemiro is deeper, but let's say between the centre-backs in a back three, that's pretty logical, right? That makes quite a lot of sense. He can do that. But suddenly when you've got him receiving here with his back to goal under pressure, I suddenly think Kobbie would be better at the job. So I think it depends on basically the dynamic which Ten Hag wants to go for, if you know what I mean. With that whole idea of playing the ball out from the back. Not sure. Personally, save for goal kicks, for example, I don't see why we can't do something which looks perhaps a bit more like this. Something like this, for example. I don't see why we can't play the ball out from the back in this sort of way. With Dalot and Mainoo, the receivers, they're good on the turn, things like that, but it just doesn't happen. Licha could also do it as well. If Casemiro is deeper, then it masks the issue of him needing to cover ground. Yeah, I think he can play deeper. I think what we shouldn't do is kind of put the main focus through him being the one ticking us over sort of thing. I think, let's say you play a system where you have, let's say the both of them on the same line, right? So Kobbie Mainoo and Casemiro both fairly deep, double pivot. I think that can work. That can really work for United. As long as we then use our brains and focus play through Kobbie rather than through Casemiro. Because one of them keeps the ball well, scans well, is press resistant, and things like that, whereas one of them loses it a bit more. So I think you're spot on. It's just about whether Ten Hag sees it in that way almost, and how he wants to use them. Of course, early in the season, what we saw was Casemiro playing up here half the time, but with no six behind him. That's when it was really confusing. Do you think Rashford will start considering his antics? I think he will. I think he will. Based on Ten Hag's quotes over the past couple of days, I do think we will see him starting. Talking about Onana. Truthfully, I'm not sure what's happened with Onana this season. No idea. How many no-look balls around the corner will Casemiro try to play to Dalot in the second phase? We should play bingo on that. Everyone have a little prediction. How many failed passes will Casemiro play tonight? It would make sense to have Kobbie and Casemiro on the same line, so there's more than one option for playing out. A bit like what McAllister and Caicedo did last season for Brighton. Yeah, I think it's one of the most important things in football at the moment. I couldn't tell you, personally, a top team which plays with one player here. Manchester City last season always had Stones in this position. This year it's sometimes Bernardo Silva, sometimes Kovacic, sometimes Nunes next to Rodri, but there's always someone. Arsenal have Declan Rice, and then one time it will be Thomas Partey, another time it will be Jorginho, another time it will be Zinchenko. There's always someone there next to him. If you then compare that to perhaps some worse teams currently in the Premier League, let's go Chelsea, for example. Again, I tweeted about it last night, which Edwick pointed out. They play with one midfielder, Caicedo. The rest are so high, there's no inverted fullbacks, so you got one midfielder all by himself. Big problem in and out of possession, and United tend to do the same. The whole idea of Dalot inverting the other day went some way to addressing that, I felt, but it has to happen more frequently, more regularly. I just feel that at the moment, with how teams set up defensively, with the idea of then transitioning, I just feel that we need more of a second phase player in there. Two of them. The problem, having said that, is that Wolves play a back five. And if you therefore want to overload it, do some maths, you need 6. To do 6, you're going to have less back here. So it will be interesting to see what's going to happen there, because it could lead to a problem. It could be a rare game, though, where actually playing with one player here could actually work. It could work. I don't understand why Chelsea didn't just put Enzo next to Caicedo and build up. No idea. I tweeted again last night about it. I think it's Pochettino's biggest mistake since joining Chelsea, and I think it will eventually see him lose his job. I don't know. I can't fathom why you wouldn't do it. Because when you play, again, United have often played like it this season. Let's say you've got wide fullback here, 2 advanced midfielders, wide fullback here. This guy in possession, firstly, has so much work to do, whether that's Casemiro at the start of the season for us, Kobbie Mainoo this season for us, Caicedo for Chelsea. When you've got so much ground to cover, first of all, in possession, it's very difficult because there's not a ton of passing options near you to start off with. You've got less players to pass to, but also, let's say the ball's over here, I've got to get over here and be the option, but then the ball gets switched over here, I've got to get over here and be the option. So it's difficult in possession. Again, you've also got a lack of passing options. Then imagine the work when you lose the ball. Particularly in the case of United, where our centre-backs then drop and our forwards go towards the ball, high up the pitch. It is so difficult in the modern iteration of the game to play with one player on that second line, centrally. It's so difficult. Genuinely, I can't think of a top team which do it regularly at the moment, certainly in Europe's top 5 leagues. It is so difficult to play like that. There's a reason teams don't do it, but we still do? Not sure. It's concerning that our players don't adapt by their own when they see something not working. Yeah, I've often thought that in the past. I always find it interesting in a situation like that. Should players kind of go against the manager's advice and take things into their own hands a little bit? Or should they play, do what the manager's doing, go against it? It's difficult. Even De Jong has someone next to him? Yeah, exactly. And in terms of on the ball, he's one of the best. But there's still someone next to him. Again, it's for defensive reasons as much as it is on the ball as well. In terms of rest defense, things like that, having this structure which can win the ball back, it's just so important. It's so important the way that football is played right now. 10 seasons ago, it was different. 6 seasons ago, it was different. But right now, with the way it's played, you do need this player in here. And like I said, we just don't do it. The manager can only coach so much, though. Some of it must come down to the player's instincts. Yeah, so let me know what you guys think of that. On that question about, should players kind of do it themselves, or should the manager... Obviously, the manager should fix the problem. But if the manager isn't, should the players try to, or not? Let me know what you think. When you have a singular pivot, as you mentioned, shouldn't your 8s drop deep when necessary? So yeah, what you could do in this situation to stop this problem you've got here is you can put your fullbacks quite narrow like this, which is what Spurs often do, for example. So, whilst they're not necessarily playing with 2 midfielders, there's certainly players close by. Porro's always in here, for example. That works quite nicely. You can rotate one of your midfielders deeper. That works. You've now got 2 presences in here, but still plenty of players further forward. There's a lot of teams which do this. Probably one of the easier shapes to get to grips with. Quite a more basic one to understand. Or you can do what we do. Look at Kobbie. He's got so much ground to cover, the poor guy. So much ground. We need to get to a point where either fullback can invert and either fullback can push forward. Either on the underlap or the overlap. It's crucial for balance of attack and not being left side heavy. Big issue. I think that's probably what Ten Hag wants. I think we know by now that he is a manager which wants a lot of rotations. Like you've said, we probably don't have the squad to do that at the moment. I always thought that Luke Shaw could perhaps be someone who inverts, but I'm not sure that he can be, based on what we saw early on in the season. Perhaps he could grow in that area, but I'm not convinced by him in that area. Malacia, from the left, he's better at it. Dalot can do it from the right, but like I said, we also need midfielders which can drop in regularly as well. And then it's about timing, patterns, things like that. The only elite manager with a job I'm aware of that allows tactical freedom from players is Ancelotti. It depends what you class as tactical freedom, I guess. I've read on Twitter, SilverOB, great account, that the single pivot is just used to centrally pin the 2 forwards and aren't actually used in the build-up, unless I'm misinterpreting. I'm not actually exactly sure of the tweet that you're referring to. I can't say that I've seen it. It's probably dependent on the team. You can use your pivot like that if you want to then cycle the ball wide and progress in the wide areas, you can do that. It depends more so on the individual, I think. I think Ten Hag wants to pin the opposition into low block and not attract press. Not attract the press and play through it. I'm not sure. I think he likes to play quite quickly. I've always wondered what a Luke Shaw coached by Pep would look like. Yeah. Yeah, Luke Shaw in that City side would be special. It would be interesting to see if he had played somewhere else, if he would have developed that kind of inverting side of his game. I'm not sure. I say this all the time. Just because you're a technical fullback, it doesn't mean you can be an inverted fullback. Because, take Luke Shaw here. He receives the ball from Lisandro Martinez as a left back. Everything, in terms of where he faces pressure, is this side of him. You know, I don't know if you can see the arms kind of pointing out like this, but everything is that side of him. Suddenly, if you ask him to receive like this in here, he can be pressed from this angle, he can be pressed from this angle, he can be pressed from this angle, from this angle. It is so difficult being a fullback which inverts into midfield. I don't think just anyone can do it. Could Luke Shaw? Not sure. He'd either be a stone lighter or get the Phillips treatment. Yeah, fair comment. Thoughts on Antony today helping with retaining possession, maybe to slow down plays? I'm not sure if it will happen or not. I think if it does happen, there'll probably be a lot of uproar and people will complain that Antony's playing. He could start, to be fair. He did get a goal and assist last time out. I don't think he played well, but I wouldn't be surprised if Ten Hag thought he played well. Potentially he could. He could start on the right-hand side. Like you said, he is someone who slows it down a little bit more, is a little bit less direct, more retention-based. Could work. Like I said, I will be streaming this evening, by the way, tonight. So turn notifications on so you get notified when I go live. I think I'll be streaming, I think kickoff's 8:15, so I'll be streaming 7 till 8. So not during the game because I want to watch and analyse the game, also watch it with my brother. But the pre-game stuff, I reckon you guys should come here rather than, the United stand or whoever else might be streaming it. Come here, get the kickoff news. If you want to then go to a watch along after that, go do that. But if you want a place where you can come and in terms of reaction to the lineups, it's not going to be everyone moaning and crying about the starting 11, a more balanced view, I think this is the place to be. I really do. Shaw is a flying fullback. I think he's certainly used to be that. I think as he's developed and as he's grown and as he's matured, I think he has become a player who can do a lot of different things. For example, I do see him as someone who can be quite a deep creator rather than someone who always flies around. I think he's quite versatile, apart from having that inversion in his game, apart from that. We'll try to pop in tonight. I'd love it if you can, mate. I thought Shaw looked a bit lost when he was inverting early in the season. Not to say he could never do it, though. Yeah, I agree. Pre-leg break Shaw was so good. Yeah, in terms of athleticism, flying around the outside, it was unbelievable. I do think now, though, I think last season, Luke Shaw, I think is the best version of Luke Shaw which has ever existed. Maybe the season before that. Last couple of years, unbelievable player. But yeah, I think he has lost a bit of a yard of pace, which you can't exactly blame him for. Shaw's crossing ability is underused. Agree. I also really like the idea of you doing a stream an hour before the match. Unfortunately, I won't be able to make tonight's one because I'm out. No worries, mate. No worries at all. It's something I'm going to look to do on a fairly regular basis. Anyway, I think it's a good way also to not only talk to some of you guys who are here regularly, but also potentially reach, different parts of the community, being in a different time zone by then and things like that. Yeah, I think it's a way to engage with some different people. Yeah. Hopefully I'll see you in the next one, though. Like I said, I will be streaming same time tomorrow afternoon, 1:30, previewing the West Ham game. And then again, an hour before kickoff on Sunday. We'll talk about the West Ham game again then. What time is your pre-match stream at? 7 PM UK time. Drop a like on the stream if you haven't, says Alex, and I completely agree. We're currently on 63, which is very decent. Could we push that to 70 in the next 15 minutes? I reckon we could. Also, guys, I've plugged it a few times. There's a Discord server linked at the top of chat. Or I believe there should be anyway. I hope you guys can see that. I recommend you join it. There is a lot of talk going on in there. We talk about academy players. We talk about different players we could sign. We react to starting 11s coming out, things like that. We have tactical discussions, video ideas. If you are a channel member on here, on YouTube, you get access to bonus streams, things like that. So I recommend you join a Discord. I think it's good fun. I think it's good fun. Are we sure Casemiro will start and not Eriksen? I think either Casemiro or Eriksen would have a similar issue about ground coverage anyway, so I'm not sure. We talk about hot chocolate recipes. I wish Chad was being sarcastic, but that was a genuine, like, half-hour conversation they had the other day on Discord. Not sure why, but it was a good read, to be fair. There's some good advice in there. If you want to see just random stuff, Chad, Discord, that's the place to be. Been a more complete player since the Euros? Yeah, I think he probably came into his absolute peak around, you know, just before the Euros, 6 months after the Euros. I think that was absolute peak Luke Shaw, but I still think he's very good as well. Chubby Mero should start. That's not a very nice name, is it? More defensive techers than Pogba, I think. With Cobby, agreed. Is there anything else you guys want to talk about before we wrap up the stream? I've got about 15 minutes before I have to leave. So if there is anything you want to talk about, let me know. If not, I reckon we finish with score predictions. Oat milk, hot chocolate. David, are you in a Discord? New managers. Oh. I best believe the new manager conversation is going to take more than 12 minutes. Just joined? Happy days. Happy days. Yeah, I will also always drop a reminder in Discord when I'm going live as well. So if you don't have notifications on here, on YouTube, I'll tell you on Discord as well. How do we get Højlund more chances? Is it really as simple as wingers be less greedy? I covered it yesterday morning on the channel. In terms of the general idea that United need to use to create more chances going forward. But as Alex has said there also, channels. Get Højlund in the channels. I didn't cover that in the video so much, but I think that's something which Højlund has to do. I think he done it really well at Atalanta. He would regularly spin into channels of space. Probably less likely tonight against a back three or a back five with that extra man there. But in general, that's what I want to see from Højlund. Channel runs. Apart from that, improve his hold-up play a little bit in terms of how he uses his body. He often gets caught too square on. He needs to be a bit more side on, things like that. But in general, I think he's doing pretty well. I reckon we win somehow without looking great. Yeah, let's go through some of these score predictions. 2-1 Wolves. 2-2. 2-1 or 1-0 either way. 2-0, 2-0. You guys going to United for those 2-0s, or do you reckon Wolves? What do you reckon? Is Ali still in the chat? I'd love to see your score prediction, mate, if you're here. Chad says 6-1. United. 6-0 United, says Sam. I like it, guys. Delusion is an illness, and you guys are ill, but I like it. 4-0 United, 2-1 United. I think it's one of those ones, I'll be completely honest with you. My head tells me that Wolves will win the game, and I'm sorry to say that, guys, but that is what my head tells me. My logical brain thinking, I think, you know, the fact that they've got good ball carriers, that's a problem of ours. The fact that they press well, that's a problem of ours. The fact that they defend well deep, that's a problem of ours. So my head kind of tells me that Wolves win this game. But you just get that feeling, don't you? You just get that feeling that we're going to win it. I always end up with that feeling. What do you think about Elise? Would you be happy with if we end up with him? Great player. I did cover him a couple of weeks ago. I really want to fully focus on him in the second half of the season because I get the feeling we might sign him in the summer, so I really want to watch pretty much every game from now till the end of the season. Watched him the other night, really good. They don't have Johnny Evans, exactly. You're spot on. And that's why we're going to win 6-0. I agree with Sam. Ali with another $10 donation, thank you very much. Great show as usual. Big up AJ and this amazing community. Shout out you guys for that, by the way. Love you all. Let's hope for some positive results. 2-1 United with Højlund the winner. Oh, thank you so much, Ali, firstly, for the donation. Everyone, make sure to spam green love hearts in the chat for Ali. Also, spam the love hearts for Alex because he's just gifted a channel membership to Alan. So, Alex, Alan, you are now a channel member at no cost to you because Alex has donated to you. So make sure to say thank you. Everyone else, spam green love hearts in the chat. Thank you very much, Alex, for that. And also, Ali, I would be very, very, very happy with a 2-1 win, Højlund winners. Oh, that would send me to bed a happy man. Do you think right now, based on the info you have, that Elise is better / more suited than Antony? Yes, I do. Sorry, my keyboard is a mess. All good, Ali. All good. I managed to interpret. I managed to swerve through it a little bit. 1-1, but it might look like a 3-3. I can see that. We'll go down 1-0 and win 3-1. I don't do score predictions anymore. I have lost all trust in the club. If we lose, we drop down to 10th. These are lovely messages to end the stream on, guys. Should we finish with a bit of positivity, guys? Tell me a United player which is going to score. Go on. Tell me a United player who not even going to score, who's going to play well tonight. Who's going to catch me off guard or just perform like they normally do. Glimmer Twin with the donation saying, glad I was still awake tonight to catch the stream. Good day, brackets, good night. From Australia, keep up the good work. And up the effing Reds. Thank you very much, Glimmer, for the donation. Again, if you guys could spam the love heart to say thank you. That is super, super generous. I greatly appreciate that. So thank you very much, my friend. Glad you enjoyed the stream. Good to catch you here today. Hopefully you get to see one in the future. Yeah, you're not going to be awake, are you, for tonight's one? Unless you wake up for the United game, I guess. But hopefully I'll catch you in a stream in the future. It's been good to see you, mate. I hope you're well. And again, greatly, greatly appreciate the donation. Everyone, turn the chat green. Spam some love hearts, some flames, all of that stuff to say thank you to Ali, to Glimmer, and of course to Alex. Legends. Legends. Bruno and Højlund on the score sheet. Dalot will be good. Fernandes as usual. Respect to football fans from across the world. Yeah, fair play. They do some hours that I could not do. Absolutely. Anything else I need to... Anthony going to shut up the haters. I like it. I like it. People saying Rashford's going to play well. Højlund's going to play well. I'll take any of it. We need a win tonight. We need a win tonight, don't we? All analysis, like aside, tactics and all of that talk. We need a win. We need a win because we've got an interesting spell coming up. West Ham at the weekend, who can do damage. They beat us, what, like a month ago? We've got Villa. Always a tough game, although obviously we've done well before. Yeah, we do need to win tonight. Kerwin, good to see you, mate. I'm afraid you're joining just as I'm about to end the stream, but fear not, I will be live again tonight, 7 PM UK time, with my reaction to United's starting 11 tonight. I'll be live from 7 PM UK time till 8 PM, talking about the game, talking about the lineup coming out and things like that. Apart from that, though, I think we're pretty much finished for this afternoon stream. So any of you guys which are here again tonight, I'll catch you later. Any of you which aren't, thank you for watching as always. Thank you to everyone who has sat there quietly and watched. Thank you to everyone who has liked the stream. I reckon you do that before we leave. Everyone who voted in the polls, absolute legends. Everyone with the donations and the gifted memberships, all absolute heroes. And of course, everyone who has been active in chat. And also everyone who has joined the Discord this afternoon. If you want to keep talking to me now until the game starts, go get in the Discord server. Link at the top. Link at the top of chat. Get in the Discord server. We have some good conversations in there. There's some good talk going on. So, yeah. Thank you to everyone who has joined that. Thank you to everyone for the stream as always. Yeah, Kerwin, I will be streaming tonight. Sorry you've missed this one, mate, but the stream will stay up. You can watch it back as a video. I'll be live again later tonight and also live again 1:30 tomorrow afternoon with more United talk. Of course, a video first thing tomorrow morning on the United Wolves game. But apart from that, I think that is pretty much everything. So I'm going to do my normal outro where I say thanks for watching, blah, blah, blah. And then I sit here for about 5 minutes trying to find the button which ends the stream. Because I have to end it on like 2 separate things and I always press one and not the other. So I sit here looking like an absolute muppet. But yeah, I'll catch you guys in the Discord shortly. AJ isn't elite at ending the stream. It's not my strong point. It's not my strong point. Yeah, it's not my strong point. It's really not. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Hope you have enjoyed it. And as always, I'll catch you guys in the next one, which is tonight. Where's the off button? There it is. See you later.